Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving deep into the world of quality management. We're going to trace its journey from, a simple check on a factory floor all the way to a powerful mindset that can shape an entire company.
You ever wonder about that? It's a great question. Success often isn't just about luck or even having a better product. The real difference, the secret sauce, is in how they approach quality. And as we're about to see, the very idea of what quality even means has changed a lot.
So to really understand where we are now, we first need to hop in a time machine. We've got to look at the system that pretty much ran the show for the 20th century, a system that was designed for a completely different world than the one we live in today.
Yeah, the old Taylor system, it was built for a time when most workers didn't have a lot of formal education. It created this really rigid structure, right? You had the planners up top making all the calls, and the doers down below who were just supposed to follow orders. Well, that model is totally obsolete now. Today's workforce is highly educated. People aren't just cogs in a machine. They're a huge source of knowledge. And that shift means we need a totally different approach, a collaborative one where the people doing the work are actually helping to shape the plan.
Okay, so if that old top-down way of thinking is broken, what replaced it? Well, modern organizations have this amazing toolkit of ideas and methods that they use to really drive for excellence.
First up, you've got lean. The core idea here is actually super simple. You are relentless about finding and getting rid of waste. And waste isn't just, scrap metal on the floor. It's wasted time, wasted movement, extra steps in a process, basically anything that doesn't actually add value for the customer. It's all about being as efficient and effective as possible.
And working hand in hand with Lean is Six Sigma. Now, if Lean is focused on waste, Six Sigma is absolutely laser-focused on defects and mistakes. It uses some serious data and statistical analysis to get processes as close to perfect as humanly possible. The whole goal is to make quality something you can measure and predict.
The engine that really makes Six Sigma run is this framework called DMAIC. It's a 5-step cycle that stops you from just guessing what the problem is. First, you define the problem clearly. Then you measure how things are currently working and analyze the data to find the real root cause. Only then do you try to improve the process. And finally, and this is key, you control it to make sure you don't slide back into the old way of doing things. It's this continuous loop of data-driven improvement. Okay, so all of this sounds great in theory, right? But how does this toolkit actually hold up when the stakes are incredibly high? I mean, when there is absolutely zero room for error.
Let's take a look at a hospital. They wanted to figure out how to reduce the average time heart failure patients had to stay. Now, a long stay isn't just expensive, it can actually increase the risk for the patient. So, by using these modern quality methods, they managed to cut that stay almost in half. A huge deal.
And how did they do it? They followed the exact playbook we just talked about. They defined the problem really specifically, focusing on one diagnosis group. They used that DMAIC process to analyze all their data and pinpoint the real reasons for delays. Then they put a targeted solution in place. This wasn't some kind of miracle. It was just a systematic, smart application of quality principles.
And you want to talk about pressure? The pressure is just as intense, if not more so, in the defense industry. You're talking about incredibly complex systems that have to work perfectly, without fail, for decades. Failure is just not an option.
To pull that off, the best defense organizations use what's called a mission assurance model. And what's so powerful about this is that it recognizes that real quality isn't just about having tools like Six Sigma. It requires this constant, balanced investment across the whole organization, in your people, your systems, your customer relationships, and in always looking for the next innovation.
And that model, especially the focus on people, brings us straight to what is maybe the single most critical piece in this whole quality puzzle.
Behind every single process, every system, every result, there's a person. This quote from a top defense executive just says it all. The root cause of everything good and bad has a temperature of 98.6 degrees. I mean, it's brilliant, right? At the heart of every single success or failure, you are always going to find the human factor.
The quality pioneer, Dr. Joseph Juran, had this fantastic way of thinking about this. He called it the useful many. He said, look, management has to fix the big system-wide problems. He called those the vital few. But true, lasting excellence, that comes from empowering your entire workforce. They're the ones on the front lines who can see and solve the hundreds of smaller problems, the useful many, that when you add them all up, make a gigantic difference.
So what happens when people aren't empowered?
Well, the culture can turn really toxic really fast. Problem-solving turns into a blame game. People are afraid to make decisions. New ideas get shot down before they even have a chance. You get this us versus them mentality between leaders and employees. In a culture like that, any quality program you try to launch is pretty much doomed from the start.
Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. What does this whole evolution from simple inspection to this idea of inspiration, what does it actually mean for you and your day-to-day work?
Here's the most important takeaway. We have moved from a world where quality was the job of a few people in a department somewhere to a world where quality has to be a shared culture. It's everyone's job now, from the CEO all the way to the person who just started yesterday. It's this commitment to always getting better that has to be part of the very fabric of an organization.
And that brings us to our final question, and it's really about seeing your own work through this new lens. So, I want you to ask yourself this. What is one of those small, nagging problems in your daily work, your piece of the useful many, that you can help solve today?